Abdu'l-Baha explained what is most frequently meant by holy cities and Jerusalem of God that mentioned in Holy Book is the law of God. It is compared sometimes to a bride and sometimes to Jerusalem, and again to a new heaven or a new earth. In Revelation chapter 21, verse 1, 2, and 3, it is said, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for of the first heaven and first earth were passed away, and there will be no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, come down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is in with men, and he will dwell with men, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them, and be their God." It is clear and evident how the first heaven and first earth is referring to the former law of God, which is now gone. As it said, the first earth and first heaven have passed away, and no more sea. No more sea meaning that the law of God has spread all over the entire earth and to all the men of earth. And the men will enter the cause of God, and they all dwell on earth, on land, on solid land, dry land. So there will be no more sea on the earth. And it's also compare to a holy city, the new Jerusalem that descend from heaven, and it's made new. For a city made out of stone, mortars, bricks, earth, and wood cannot descend from heaven and cannot make renew. This is referred to the law of God that descend from heaven, and it makes new. It also compared to a bride adorned for her husband. In Revelation 12, from verse 1 state, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. And the dragon stood in front of the woman, ready to devour her child." The woman here is the law of God descended upon Muhammad. And the sun that clothed the woman and the moon under her feet are the two nations this law was established, and they were Persia and Turkey. The emblem of Persia is the sun, and the emblem of Turkey is the crescent moon. And crown of 12 stars on her head are the 12 Imams that promoted and championed the law of God. And the dragon that stood in front of the woman is the Umayyad dynasty that dominated Islam and stood in front of the woman, meaning they make trouble for the law of God. And in verse 4 it states, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its head, and each tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven." The dragon here refers to the Umayyad dynasty that dominated the Mohammedan religion. And the 7 heads and 7 crowns are the 7 dominions the Umayyad control of and rule over. They were the dominion of Rome around Damascus, the Persians and the Arabians and the Egyptian dominions, the dominions of Africa, that is Tunis, Morocco, and Algeria, the dominion of Andalusia, which is now Spain, the dominion of Turkmenistan and Transylvania. The 10 horns are the 10 names of the Umayyad leaders. The first is Abu Sufyan, and the last is Marwan. But some of them share the same name. That is, there were 2 Muawiyah, and 3 Yazid, and 2 Walid, and 2 Marwan. But without repetition, and we count them individually, there were exactly 10 of these leaders. And each tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven. The stars of heavens are the 12 Imams, which the Umayyad destroyed and killed all of them. And on verse 5 it states, it is said that the woman with child cried, and the dragon stood in front of the woman, ready to devour her child. The woman with a child cried, meaning the law of God is in pain, is in trouble, and it's in difficulties. The child that is born of the woman is a Lamb of God. And Abdu'l-Baha explained the child refers to His Holiness the Bab, the forerunner, the precursor of the coming of Baha'u'llah. And the dragon that stood in front of the woman and ready to devour her child is the Umayyad dynasty. They always look for and wait for the descendants of Muhammad so they can kill, as they did it with the 12 Imams. They kill and destroy all of them. The 12 Imams are the descendant from Muhammad, and the Bab also a descendant from Muhammad. And in verse 6 it states that the woman with a child that cried went up to God and fled to the desert. And they fed the woman there for 1,260 days. So The desert is Arabia, in a place called Hijaz, which is now Mecca and Medina. That area was like a desert, was a barren land in that time. And they fed the woman for 1,260 days. These are 1,260 years according to prophecies. For in the book of Number 14 verse 34, it states that a day to the Lord is 1 year. The year 1260 of the Muslim calendar is equivalent to 1844 of the Christian calendar. It was this year 1844, on the 24th of May, His Holiness the Bab declared his mission in Shiraz, in Elam, the old name of Persia, which is now called Iran. And the child is the Lamb of God. The Lamb signifies sacrifice. It was also accorded to Christ when he was crucified. And like Christ, the Bab was executed. He was suspended onto a concrete wall and executed by a firing squad of 750 soldiers of the Muslim army. This happened on the 9th of July in 1850, and the Baha'is all over the world are commemorating the anniversary of the martyrdom of the Bab, which falls on the 10th of July this year. Have a wonderful commemoration of the martyrdom of the Bab. Thank you, and I wish you well. Whaftailava, manuela whaafongfong maimala whasausaunga sa amo. Sorry for